Good day and welcome to Three Dudes and a Lady. Join us for a little motivation, a little inspiration, and perhaps a way to cope with your day. I am Mike, come from Virginia, and my gratitude today is for lasting long-term friendships.
My name is Earl from beautiful North Carolina. Uh, my gratitude for today is we had rain last night to water the ground, but grateful for the
Good morning, everyone. My name's Jay Anderson. I yield from the wild, wonderful state of West Virginia. My gratitude for 2 days in a row mirrors Mike's. Friendships are very important to me.
Hey guys, I am Christine Wright, hailing out of the great state of Florida, and my gratitude today is grounding. Today, Jay Shetty talked about framing feedback, right? We've all heard the words, we need to talk, right? And all of a sudden, we're stressed out. We're trying to figure out what they need to talk to us about. We've all had those statements read to us before, right? Or told to us. And what Jay was saying is how we start the conversation can greatly impact the way the conversation will go. He talked about a research study that the Stanford psychologist did. They studied how teachers can help motivate their students, right? So they picked a group of seventh graders, had them write an essay, and the teacher provided feedback to each student, right? So that they had the opportunity to fix the essay. The first group that had the research papers done, they wrote on the papers that I know you can, like, they wanted the comments to be like, I know you can do better than this, right? Where the second group is, here's your feedback. That's all they wrote. So the first group actually rewrote the essay, and we as people tend to fear feedback, right? As soon as people say we need to talk, it's like, oh, something just happened, right? People can quickly get defensive at this if in that frame, right? But if we frame these conversations through a compassionate lens, it's going to help, right? It's going to bring the defense down, right? And the other person is going to hear you with an open mind and an open heart instead of defensive, right? Like, for instance, your friends cancel plans at the last minute. They've done this multiple times, right? You jump in and say, that's not cool. Now, that could get defensive, right? Or I really value your friendship and I have something I want to talk to you about. Which way sounds better, right? Sometimes when we are frustrated, we say things that we don't necessarily mean in a conversation, right? When we let people know that we care about them, it helps them open up. So we have to reframe the way we start the conversations, right? And I've been on both sides of these, right? I've I've started conversations. We need to talk. And when I can bring up kids because I have kids, right? So when I go to them and I say we need to talk, it's like their defense is already up. But if I go to them and say, hey, I know you can do better than this, or, like when the chores, for instance, right? My daughter has to do dishes. Like that's her chore, or she has to put them away anyway. That's her chore. And sometimes she does it without fail. Other times she doesn't, right? So then I'm having these conversations with her about, like, why didn't you do them? Like, what happened? Like, I'm asking questions, right? Because sometimes it could have been who knows why, right? Maybe she wasn't feeling good. But if her defense is already up, she's not going to answer. She'll make up a reason or tell me what I want to hear, right? Instead of actually having a conversation. What are you guys' thoughts?
I think tonality and posture are very important when you approach that question. And no matter even if it's something that's bitter or if you're upset at something, I think you should still approach it in a very I'm going to use the word gentleman-like manner. I mean, be the proper terminology, but go in smooth so it doesn't escalate. And if there's a problem, try to peace talk it into something that's going to be a little more so you two are on the same level instead of coming at a cannon and scaring the crap out of somebody. And I just think it comes out a lot better. That's my opinion.
Oh, for sure. Tone and tact are hugely important. And when Brian Williamson told me this, I don't know how many times, tone and tact, because I'm a hard charging, like I expect certain things to happen and they don't happen. Like my expectations are high all the time, right? And he would always tell me tone and tact, because I have a tendency to, that stuff goes out the window. There's no tone and there's no tact, right? Which is why I would have Mike, my husband, read my texts before I sent them, because he has more tone and tact than I do.
That's awesome.
And the true story is like, I would have him reread my text before I sent it to make sure that it was not so hard charging, right? It wasn't so like blunt.
And Christine, I used to work for an employer before coming into business. I was in the transportation industry. My last employer that I was with them for 15 years, my boss, his first name is Gil. That's how I give it out. But Gil always had this thing when you see him in his office. If you gave him, we call this the magic finger, meaning like this. It means it's just a quick conversation, just for a favor or something. Now, if he gave you the eyes, it's like, Earl, in my office. No, then you know something's wrong. But
For sure.
but he had a good personality. But I mean, him and I had a very good business working relationship. And if he just had a question about something, he'd be like, I'm like, oh, he just wants to see me for a second. Okay. So, but every personality is different. It's how you approach it. It's how you approach it. Don't think you're going to be like in the Wizard of Oz, being fed to the lion when it's just a simple question. Maybe the guy's just, or the person's having a rough day. They just want to know, did you see this, or whatever the question may be.
Right.
Don't fear it. Just try to de-escalate it. So,
Mike?
Okay, Mike.
To me, this is like all the coaching training I had when I was in my previous career coming together. Yeah, you always try to say something that an employee did well before you told them the things they didn't do well. I kind of set them up.
Yeah. You set them
Sometimes
up for positive feedback, right?
Yeah, I set them up for positive feedback. And the term we used to, this whole selling system we had, earn the right to advance. And by softening it up a little bit, I think you really are earning the right to advance into that.
Yeah,
Maybe not so good feedback.
for sure.
And since Earl mentioned the Wizard of Oz, I was listening to Jay Shetty, and for some reason I was thinking about the Tale of Two Cities. And the fact that it starts with, it's the best of times, it's the worst of times, and ends with, it's a far, far better thing that I have done. So, and a bunch of bad stuff in the middle, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't quite completed the thought process on how that relates to what Jay Shetty was saying, but just
All right, Jay, what you
letting
got?
it flow out today.
Yeah.
okay, Jay, let's talk about this one.
I love this subject because it's something that I really enjoy working on for myself. And I've worked hard over the years with it. I was utilized at one time in the car dealership world as whenever problems arose, I was the person that had to come in and help resolve. So framing feedback is part of a slither of communication skills that we have. But there's a component that wasn't really mentioned, and it is the upfront component of listening. So if it is that you are framing the feedback, you better make damn sure that you listened first so that your feedback is at least in tune of what needs to take place. I've always tried to pose my when I know feedback is not going to be the best feedback for the person to hear. I when I hear this, hey, we need to talk, the hairs on my arms just immediately. I don't think anything. The hairs just go up. You know, it's
And all of a
it
sudden
is
we're creating a story wrapped around that we need to talk and we have no idea what's about to happen, right?
that's right. That's no different than me going to the doctor's office and the nurse puts that cuff on my arm and starts doing my blood pressure. My blood pressure goes up.
Yeah,
I can't control it. It's just the way it rolls.
exactly. Human
But
nature, right?
yeah, I'm a big proponent of, give you an example. Earl, there's two schools of thoughts on this matter that we're getting ready to talk about. When I bring up two schools of thoughts, that statement tends to say, okay, there's people who think differently on this. What de-escalates pretty quickly because maybe his school of thought or their school of thought is not wrong, but there is another school of thought. And then I also like, hey, Earl, one time I was in a situation that this took place. And this is kind of the results that I saw. And again, I'm saying to you, I've been in those shoes, so I understand that, I'm getting ready to give you some feedback, but I've been there. So sometimes the de-escalation is listening to what the situation is and then trying to even it out. It is how you enter that conversation as to how the person receiving it is going to take it. That's a hard thing to do. I actually had to let someone go one time at the dealership, and at the end of it, he stood up and thanked me, shook my hand, and gave me a hug. And I think it is how you take the time and try to communicate with people. At the end of the day, the person on the receiving end, they just want to feel respected. And that's part of how framing feedback can work towards your favor if you think in terms of that. They just want to be respected. They want to be heard and they want to be respected. And that's how I try to go about it. Now, do I always do this? No. Christine, you said it best. You can go into a moment to provide feedback because you are motivatedly charged. Your anger level is high. Man, that's hard to keep that tongue in cheek. It is because we can let raw emotion control the conversation or the narrative, rather. And most of the time, that's never a win. Sometimes it can be. Most of the time, that's not a win. So I think Jay is providing great resource of putting thought into before you do that feedback. And Christine, you put thought into it because you let Mike read it before you sent it.
That was after learning that what I was saying was not coming across, like, because they were getting defensive. So it took some time, right? It wasn't like this is automatically what I did. No.
Yeah. This is not a day one and it's over and we're always going to be perfect with it. It is an
Right.
ongoing practicing thing.
For sure.
This is something that takes I mean, you have to really to create a culture within your mindset of how you want to try to be. Again, when you're angry, you're going to blast.
Here's the other issue too, Jay. You said make sure you're listening first. feedback needs to be a conversation, not a lecture.
Yeah.
And email is lecture first, feedback later.
Yeah.
So I told you before we started recording, I told you about my experience yesterday, 58 minutes on hold for insurance company. Now, some people would have just given some feedback to the person who finally answers the phone, right? But
Yeah, they would have.
it
And that's not the
wasn't their
person's
fault.
fault. No. They're
So,
doing their job.
yeah. I mean, I feel sorry for them. If their phone's been ringing for that long and they can't get to it, I don't know. It's probably a light flashing or something. I don't know. But yeah.
So
Yeah.
one of the hurdles that we all face in society is what we see. I'll use sporting, any sporting event. When you have a coach and they're in the professional leagues, college professional leagues, do you think those coaches are framing feedback when they in the heat of the battle?
Not all of them. Some of them might. Some of them might be able to frame it, but most of them no.
So as a youngster, you see this, and then you start seeing social media, then you start seeing some of the TV shows that are out there. It creates a false illusion of how people should be treated. And so you think, oh, well, he did it, so am I.
Yeah.
And you start providing that negative type of feedback to another person. At the end of the day, you've lost respect for that other person. All you're wanting to do is chew ass, and you've lost that respect, regardless of what they may or may not have done. Okay. And that's the component I think that's missing within that. Have you lost that respect for the person that's getting ready to receive the feedback? And that's just
And I've
that's
been
all
there.
it is.
Like as far as receiving feedback and the person that gave me feedback, they lost my complete respect. And when you so like for and I'm the personality type that you may not know that you did that to me because I'm a sniper. So whenever I get distraught, I just cut you off completely. And then you're like, what happened? What did I do?
Now, you guys said something earlier. It depends on your personalities. It does.
It does.
I am a connector by nature. It's just how I roll.
Yeah.
So it is one of those things. But I enjoy thinking about it because if you can learn how to frame feedback in a positive way, your communication skills are going to be that much stronger.
Oh, for sure.
Hey, Jay, you mentioned the coach and getting into a player's face, and let's just say it's at the professional level. How much of that is show because the cameras are always on?
And that is a great point. That is a great point. But as a teenager, can you recognize that show?
No.
A lot of times,
That's
no.
and that's creating a culture that's, I use the word toxic a lot because it is a little toxic, but the last for me, again, creating positive feedback for me when I'm receiving something, if it is feedback and it is something that I've done wrong, if you tear me down at first, make sure you build me up before you leave that conversation.
Yeah.
And it should always be in that type of manner. If it is that you are going to tear me down, start building me up to get my confidence back to the level it needs to be.
Yeah.
But the point was made up front. And that's a lot of times when we provide feedback, the other side gets pissed off. You're still pissed off. Everybody splits. There's no win. No one wins.
No. And so the way I operate is I can own my crap, right? So if I do something wrong, you can call me out on it and I'll own it, right? I'll be fine. I'll be completely fine. Now, if there's certain situations that are handled in a negative manner and, like I didn't really do anything wrong, and you're coming at me like I did, that's when I have a problem, right? Because typically, and you don't even have to motivate me back up. Like if you call me out on my bull crap, and I'll own it and walk away and be completely fine because I understand I did something wrong, right? I know I did something wrong, so I can own that. But if I didn't do anything wrong and you're coming at me and like just in a negative manner, forget it. You're done.
Well, you shut
That
down
person's
as
perception was his reality.
What'd you
right.
say?
I said that person's perception was their reality.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. And whether it's right or wrong, it does, you know, I mean, the way they handled it was just not the way that it should have been handled, right? Especially if it's somebody that you have a lot of respect for, then it's even harder. So this was a
There's a
good
big difference between you probably didn't mean it that way, Christine, but or what the hell were you thinking?
Well,
Well,
if somebody says that to me, then I probably did something wrong, and I
yeah,
can own
yeah.
that. I can own it.
Maybe I better listen.
Yeah, exactly. But if I didn't do anything wrong, and you know, here we are having this conversation, and all I'm doing is standing my ground of what I believe is true,
Yeah.
and you're standing your ground of what you believe is true, but you're handling it in a negative manner, I'm out. That's when the sniper comes out.
True. Folks, I think it's very easy to see that we're not licensed therapists. But sometimes we can get on a firestorm path like we just did because the subjects are so good. We listen to the app Calm. Within there, we listen to Jay Shetty, and he provides some very insightful, useful tools that sometimes a discussion is needed to see different angles. And that's the beauty of what we do. We try to provide 4 different angles. And we do a bang up job of it. Let me just say that.
And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Come back for more tomorrow. Peace.
It is
Peace.